All right, so this video is going to cover a few different things, but it kind of centers on basically what are the qualities of effective teachers. All right, so what are some different things that if we can have these will help us better in the teaching and learning process with our students. All right, so when we look at personal qualities, so these are things unique to the individual themselves, some things that tend to stand out. One, verbal ability. Right? Is this someone who is articulate? Is this someone who can express themselves, that has a clear idea in their mind and then is able to communicate that effectively to an audience at the level that they can understand? All right. So I think about those videos that sometimes you'll see on YouTube where they bring a professional in. This is an expert in their field, and then they have them explain a concept to a college student, to a high school student, to a middle school student, all the way down to like a 5-year-old. And we want to see, can you take this really complex idea and break it down to its key core components and teach it at such a level that even a 5-year-old can understand, right? So someone who can do that has great verbal ability, right? They're able to articulate and express information in such a way that other people can understand, right? Now, there's a little more to that, right? So there are some people who may be able to explain things very well, and they can do all those, but then they do it in such a dry, slow, monotone voice, or someone who speaks really fast and it's really hard to understand what they're saying because they're going too fast, right? That's not great either, right? So it's finding a balance on how to have the right way to articulate information at a speed that is good for everyone to understand, that maybe has pauses when needed, can raise or lower voice, speed up or slow down according to what's needed in that moment in order to either get someone's attention, to emphasize points, whatever it may be. Okay, but that's kind of one thing that we're looking at, verbal ability. Another area you want to consider is content knowledge, right? So if you're teaching psychology, do you know psychology? If you're teaching history, do you understand the different events and how they connect and the importance of what happened, right? If you're teaching math, do you know all the formulas and how to accurately apply the formulas to the different situations, right? So you have to know your stuff, right? So whatever your area of expertise is, you need to know that information. Third thing is professional knowledge. This is more understanding how to teach, right? Because you can be very articulate, you can know your stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean you know how to teach, right? So if you think about a lot of professors that you've had in college, the vast majority of them were never actually trained how to be a teacher, right? And so some of them are great, some of them maybe not so much. So they know their stuff, and they may be able to be articulate, but if they don't understand some of the mechanics of actual teaching, then they're going to be limited in what they can actually do. So they might know it, but can they do it? All right. So some of these things that we're talking about. So essential teaching skills. One, organization. Right? Do you have your class set up in such a way that everything makes sense? Everything has its logical place. Makes it very easy for students to find and kind of know what's happening at any given point. That sounds like that should be very simple, but I'm pretty sure you've been in classrooms where that's not the case, right? Where everything is just like you're hunting to find information. You never know what's going on. We don't want it to be that way. We want everything organized, when they're plan in place. So if we're going to teach a lesson, this is the lesson plan, everything like that. Okay. Another essential teaching skill is just going back in, reviewing previous concepts. We want to make sure students are understanding what we're teaching, so we need to do some type of review. All right. We want to have also effective questioning, right? So when we question students to kind of test to see, are they understanding? There's almost like an art and a science to this, right? So we want to look at frequency. How often are you asking questions? Is it just at the end? Is it throughout? Is it every few minutes? Whatever it may be. Like, how often are you planning to ask the questions? And when you do ask the questions, are you being equitable? Right? Are you distributing your questions throughout the whole entire classroom? Is it just an open-ended thing where anybody can answer? Are you going to specifically call on people? How can you make sure that everyone is being able to participate and engage in such a way that everybody's being included, right? Are there like prompting, like how do you present the question? Are you going to preface it a little bit and provide them with some context and then provide the question so they know better how to answer the things that you would want them to think about? Are you able to kind of probe a little bit, right? So how do you know this? Why do you think this? What's the evidence? Whatever it may be. Like, how can we get them to think about something a little bit different? And then a really key part about questioning is just waiting, right? Just waiting. I think we've all known those teachers who will ask a question, they wait 2 or 3 seconds, no one answers, they get nervous, they just answer the question and they move on. That's not great. That's just setting the students up to learn, oh, I don't need to say anything, they'll just move on without me. No, you want to set expectations that you do expect an answer. And so we want to consider, we've been thinking about this question, we've been thinking about possible answers for a long time. Students are just now coming into it. They need time to think. And so if we're expecting an answer after just 2 or 3 seconds, it's not going to happen. If they do say anything, it's most likely going to be, I don't know. Well, yeah, of course you don't know. You haven't thought about it yet. So we need to provide them time. So a good rule of thumb that I like to follow is that if I'm in the classroom and I ask a question, in my mind, I count roughly to 10, right? I will just count to 10, and it kind of puts the pressure onto the students. The silence starts to build. It gets a little uncomfortable, but eventually someone will respond, right? And if I get to 10 and no one has said anything yet, I may give it just like one more pause, one more beat, and then I will either ask the question again, rephrase it, or clarify something, and then again give them some opportunity to answer, to respond. And there's any kind of like encouragement or prompts I can give them to help them. Right? Another essential teaching skill is feedback, right? So are you guiding your students as they complete work to let them know what they're doing well, what are the areas of improvement, and we're doing that in a very positive, supportive manner, so they feel kind of that genuine support and they don't feel like overly criticized. Okay? And then just kind of going back to when we look at verbal ability, just using that communication stuff, right? Just being able to really know how to emphasize the different pieces of information so we can signal to them, like, maybe this is what's most important. Does our body language, this nonverbal behavior, does it match our verbal behavior? All right, so if we can be in continuity and congruence there, again, communication is just more effective. With all this, though, I would invite you to think, all right, what are the other possible qualities of either effective teachers or teaching skills? All right, what are some other things that you would include in addition to the things that we mentioned? All right, you can reflect on your own personal experiences, the different classes that you've had throughout your life, elementary school all the way up to now. Who are some of the teachers that stood out to you as far as being better than others? And then what is it that they did to be such an effective teacher, right? And those are things that can help us learn how to maybe develop those same skills.